this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 4. Yes, this is a real copy, and I'm already bored out of my skull with this game. And Resident Evil 4 fans, Resident Evil 4 purists are going to be upset because, as you can see on the screen, this is the old classic, the iconic game that everyone knows and loves. All of this, all of what you're seeing is cut. Cut. Cut.
Throne room, cut. Laser room, cut. Cable cars, cut.
Cut.
Dragon room, cut. Truck sequence, cut.
All of what you're seeing is cut. All of what you're seeing is cut.
Throne room, cut. Laser room, cut.
All of what you're seeing is cut.
There's more. U3,
Cut.
U3,
Cut.
U3, cut. Salazar statue, still in the game. However, all of this sequence here,
Cut.
the cage room with the Wolverine guy. Just cutscene now. Just cutscene now. This Gatling gun room.
Cut.
This room where the floor comes down on you.
Cut. Cut.
It's not even Resident Evil 4 anymore. And people that say, well, Michael, you're helping out in this game, you know, nothing, you're just focusing on the negative. Why don't you do a reverse Uno card and come on, Bloober, tell us what they replaced? Well, I can't do that.
All of what you're seeing is cut. All of what you're seeing, 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 cut.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home. We are live. The reality of the situation continues to unfold as we unpack this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. The entire situation is, believe me, so incredibly sad. But here's the reality of the situation, and here's, quite frankly, what you need to understand. The fake Resident Evil fans have infested the franchise. That is quite clear. The fake Resident Evil fans have infested the franchise, and it is quite clear that they jumped off the battle bus and somehow, some way, they landed in Raccoon City. And as such, it's a total disaster because now you have a bunch of fake Resident Evil fans that have jumped off the battle bus. Somehow, some way, they landed in Raccoon City, and they think they have that certified badge. They think they have a say on what this franchise should be, where this franchise should go. But at the end of the day, folks at home, it is just so incredibly sad. I am so bored with this game that I don't even want to play it anymore. I haven't played it since we last streamed it, which wasn't last night, but the day before. And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, there's nothing left to do in the game. And the honeymoon phase is seemingly already coming to an end. If you go to the link in the description, you can see the player count on Steam. And if we look that up right now, folks at home, it is not looking good for the player count on Steam for this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. 76,000 players. Now, that's still good for a single-player game, but you have to factor in the fact that this game has not been out for a week yet, okay? 4 days ago, I need you guys to lock in here. 4 days ago.
Thank you.
The Saunders child donated £2 through Super Chat. Why is the machine gun guy wearing a bull helmet?
Because they watched WWE and they thought that was interesting, you know? It's so sad. The new enemy's terrible. No one cares, though, and that's okay because I don't care if they don't care. Because at the end of the day, you can see the results right here. 76,000 players on Steam right now, and you might think that's great, and it still is in some ways, but not really when you consider the context of this game just came out last Friday, and 4 days ago it peaked at 168,000 players. So 4 days ago, this game had 168,000 players, and now it's down to just 76,000 players in less than a week here, okay? It's been less than a week since this game has launched. It is down to 76,000 players on Steam. And this game has not been out for a week. It peaked 4 days ago at 168,000 players. And we know the sales, if we go to this right here, the UK physical sales, and again, we talked about this before, but the UK physical sales are down as well, failed to match Village and failed to match Resident Evil 2 Remake. So the UK physical sales, at least, failed to match those two games, and it really is so incredibly sad for the fake Resident Evil fans that have now infested this franchise. Again, go to the link in the description. You can see the Steam stuff right on your screen. 76,000 players, not even a week old.
Donated €5 through Super Chat. It took the original Resident Evil for a year to hit 3 million sales.
Because it was only on GameCube. Because it was only on GameCube. You're not understanding. Gaming is bigger than ever. It's not, but it is, if that makes any sense. This is a multi-plat game. Resident Evil 4 initially only came out on the Nintendo GameCube, and then it eventually came to every other console known to man. So you can't compare them to. It's a nice try from the DEMAKE shills in here, but you can't compare the two because this initially launched Resident Evil 4, the original, only on GameCube. Okay, it only came to GameCube. So that's what was the problem. And then eventually they ported it to every system known to mankind, including the fucking N-Gage and the iPod Touch and so on and so forth. So that's just what you need to know and understand. Okay? It's a nice try from the DEMAKE shills, but at the end of the day, it's time to wake up and smell something. And hopefully it's not your grandma's tea, because you know what? Sometimes that tea don't smell too hot. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, go to the Steam charts and you will see 76,000 players right now, and it peaked 4 days ago at 168,000 players. So 4 days ago, there were 168,000 players, and now there are only 76,000 players. So let me ask the DEMAKE shills, and again, this proves my point. Less people are tuning into these streams because less people care about this game. They've already had their fill. They've had their fill with the flavor of the month, and now they're going to the next buffet. And when they come back to that old buffet, it ain't going to feel the same, because I told them to take your time with this game. I told the fake Resident Evil fans that the cracks were indeed starting to show, but they didn't want to listen. Oh no, and that's because they were too busy going, "Oh my God, Michael, what you talking about there, buddy? Hell, you ain't nothing but a clown." And it's so incredibly sad. Believe me, it's the saddest it's ever been. The Saunders coming through, popping the cherry. Hell yeah, brother, we appreciate that. And you laugh, following it up with the layup there from the DEMAKE shill. And the reason why we didn't go live last night is because I have no intention to continue playing this game, okay? I mean, it is just so boring. But we could make it happen if that's what you really guys, if you guys want to see that, okay? It's up to you guys. If you want to see World Class jump back into that slop, we can, but we can move on to something else. Not that there's anything new to play necessarily. However, with that said, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. So again, this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4, why does it suck? And you know why it sucks, but you don't want to admit it because you're a DEMAKE shill and you jumped off the battle bus and somehow, someway you landed in Raccoon City. Cut content, that is confirmed. I mean, obviously it is. The game's been out for 4 days. Cut content, censorship, woke themes. The list goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? Most people aren't even remembering the original game because most people, quite frankly, haven't played the original game, but they pretend to because they tell me, Michael, the original GameCube release didn't have a Simon Ada. But it in fact did. The original GameCube release, in fact, did have a Simon Ada. Okay? So the entire situation is really so sad. But people don't care, especially the fake Resident Evil fans. They really just couldn't care less. Okay? Let's get a one in the chat. Let's hit that like button. Share it if you can. Yeah, we'll see how this ultimately plays out. A little bit chillier here today, but nonetheless, we're still live. The show must go on. And I will tell you that the cracks are indeed not looking too hot for this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. If you've had your fun in the sun with it, that's fantastic. I'm not saying you can't like it. I gave the game a 7 out of 10, sweetheart. I gave the game a 7 out of 10. There's only one person participating in this chat right now, and I need you guys to wake up in here. It's like everyone's in a coma. Look, I gave this game a 7 out of 10, bro. I gave this game a 7 out of 10. And I said, okay, look, 7 out of 10 for an RE Engine game. And then everyone comes away and they say, well, Michael, you hate this game and you hate every game known to mankind. And it's like, bro, I don't even cover every game. You know what I mean? Pretty sure there was new releases this week and I have yet to cover them because, well, I'm not going to cover them because they're terrible. So at the end of the day, that's just what you need to know and understand. The cracks are indeed starting to show. We don't cover every game. We don't hate games. If I hated games, I wouldn't talk about them. That would be stupid. I wouldn't even buy them or play them. Okay? We cover the games we care about because, well, that's what we do. Because this is a total disaster. Believe me, it's the biggest disaster since the Dead Space remake. And here's the thing. All of the releases this year have been, quite frankly, terrible. All of the releases this year have been, quite frankly, terrible. Does anyone in here agree? All of the releases that have come out this far, this year has been terrible for gaming. You look at the Dead Space remake, that's a redundant release. Why did the Dead Space remake exist? Why did it exist? Why did they need to remake Dead Space? Why does it exist? And look how fast that died. Look at Hogwarts Legacy, a game that was hyped for years from the Harry Potter fans. A game that was literally hyped for years from the Harry Potter fans, and they were like, oh, Michael, this is going to be the next best thing. It's going to be Skyrim with Harry Potter. And it turns out it's just a terrible Ubisoft clone game, even worse probably.
The Saunders child donated £2 through Super Chat. I found the new puzzles to be very annoying. Weary face.
Well, the whole damn game's terrible. I mean, it really is. When you break it down, it's terrible. And it's indicative of the player count on Steam. It's dropping, it's dwindling, it's hitting the bottom of the ocean floor. It's on that way. So, yeah, the game didn't have that longevity. This game's already dead in 4 fucking days nearly. You know, terrible drop-off. Significant drop-off. And it's so sad. It's so sad. But you look at the releases and you look at Hogwarts Legacy and they hype that game to the moon and back, the Harry Potter fanboys, and they're like, oh yeah, Hogwarts Legacy is going to be amazing. And then you play it and then you realize there's no game there. It's an unfinished game. You don't even feel like a Hogwarts student. You don't even go to class. You just go to these missions. It's a linear game under the guise as an open world game, you know. You sit around and you roam around this boring, lifeless, empty open world, and it's the saddest it's ever been. It really is, believe me. It's the saddest it's ever been. And then you look at the Resident Evil 4 remake here, and this is the game that the Zoomers are shilling and the QVC pushers here on YouTube are shilling. But at the end of the day, why was this remade? If you can't do it better, why remake it? What's the point? So all of the releases this year have been, quite frankly, terrible. You look at Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, Kingdom of Tears, and I'm going to tell you what. They're taking the foundation, they're evolving it in a way that makes sense. Because why change it if it works? Why change it if it works? You love the formula, why change it? You know what I mean? So what they're doing, what Nintendo is doing with Zelda Kingdom of Tears, is they're taking the formula that's already proven to be successful. It's great foundation, great base, and they're evolving it in a way that makes sense. Now, is it revolutionary? Well, it might very well be. You know, that fuse system seems interesting, and I think a lot of games are going to copy that very shortly within the next 5 or so years, okay, especially if it takes off. But that's what people need to know and understand. This year has been terrible for gaming, and it's not over yet. There still could be some great releases this year, okay? But right now, it's not looking too hot, in my opinion. Right now, it's not looking too hot. I know you don't care, and that's okay. When you start caring about video games, you can come back to this channel, and you can come back to this channel, and you can tell me how right or wrong I am. But if you don't care about gaming, that's not my problem. I care about gaming. I'm ready for Todd Howard to pull that curtain back and to show me his titties. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that's sexy. Todd Howard's sexy. We know Starfield's going to be great, because even if it sucks, here's the thing. It's on fucking Game Pass day one. It's literally on Game Pass day one. That's why great Game Pass is so incredible for this terrible industry, because you put out this disposable software that ultimately at the end of the day does very little for the gamers, okay? It's disposable software. You play it for a few days, you move on. Terrible. You know, back in the PS2 days, you didn't do that because you weren't searching for the next dopamine hit within 5 seconds. Okay, there was no internet. I mean, well, there was internet, but it wasn't anything like it is today. You weren't on TikTok scrolling endlessly. You weren't chatting constantly, getting these dopamine hits, firing the neurons in the brain. It's so sad. It really is. But, you know, the internet has, quite frankly, killed gaming. It kind of killed wrestling as well. It killed a lot of things. And it is the saddest it's ever been. That I know and that I can tell you. So if you are just tuning in, folks, this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4 is terrible. And again, if you look at the UK physical sales, it failed to reach Resident Evil Village and failed to reach Resident Evil 2 Remake. And if you look at the current Steam charts here, as we'll refresh it, there's only 76,000 players on Steam right now. And that's still good, don't get me wrong. But it ain't that fantastic, as the game only came out, what, 4 or 5 days ago? And 4 days ago, the game peaked on Steam, 168,000 players, and now it's already down to 76,000 players. And it's a testament to how there's really no replayability, no true replayability within this game. It's artificial replayability. It's artificial replayability. That's what it is. It's artificial replayability. It's got replayability. It's got some side quests, but it's chore. You don't want to do chore in gaming. You want to make the player feel like they want to push through forward organically. And that's not the case in Resident Evil 4 Remake, as they just shoehorn content in there to pad it out and say, hey, we're better than the original because we have more content. Well, Capcom, sometimes less is more. And the pacing of this game is terrible because you have to do that stupid-ass cave puzzle right after the boss fight, and it really dwindles the whole fucking thing down. Like, you're on the search for the president's daughter, and you're doing this dumbass cave puzzle that makes literally zero sense, and it, quite frankly, disrupts the pacing of the entire game.
The Saunders Child donated £5 through Super Chat. Hopefully the Silent Hill series doesn't meet a similar fate. Bloober team is really getting ahead of themselves. And Silent Hill was changed as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of Silent Hill 2. I think Silent Hill 1 is really where it's at. I think a lot of people need to go back and play Silent Hill 1. But with that said, Bloober, they're good at style, they're good at presentation, but not really game mechanics or anything like that. So I wish them the best of luck, and I probably will check out the Silent Hill 2 remake because it's going to be most likely a fresh experience for me, as I've only played about 30 or 40 minutes of Silent Hill 2, and I didn't think it was that great. Not scary. It's got this stupid story about his wife, and she's dead, and she's haunting, James, and she's in his head, and he's getting like psychosis and shit, and it's a really dumb fucking story. It's not like anything like the original game. The original game is one of the most underrated of the entire franchise, and no one talks about it. But I don't have much hope for Bloober. I mean, they made a Blair Witch game, and the Blair Witch game was really terrible. They had a lot of leeway there that they could have worked in with the Blair Witch experience, and they did very little with it. It was a linear corridor. You're in the woods. You're talking to some witch on the radio and shit, and you gotta like feed the dog, and it's horrible. It's horrible. So Bloober wasn't the right choice, but maybe they were at the end of the day because gamers don't care about quality, and as such, you can just pump out anything. You know what I mean? You can just pump out anything, and it doesn't matter these days.
Blob donated €10 through Super Chat. Don't play stupid. Resident Evil
I'm not
4
playing
is the
stupid.
best launch of all the remake titles.
How am I playing stupid?
Resident Evil 2 had only shipped 3 million units in its first week.
Yeah, but it's dead. Like, I literally have the Steam chart numbers up on the screen, okay? 76,000 players. Who cares how many copies it sold? It has no longevity. Not compared to the original anyway. I'm not playing stupid. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I mean, I'm looking at the data right now, bro. 76,000 players on Steam. It peaked 4 days ago. Clearly, that's a failure compared to the original.
The Saunders Child donated £2 through Super Chat. Heard that these remakes will be in separate ways.
U3 Boss will be in the Separate Ways DLC, probably. Well, why? It's like Apple. They literally sell a computer without a display, without a mouse, and without a keyboard. So why would you include the whole package when you can extend the shelf life of the game? It's essentially a games as a service now in disguise is what it is. And it's happening with a lot of single-player games. Callisto Protocol, for example. Callisto Protocol, for example. There's still more content to come for the Callisto Protocol. And I told them, I said, that's a smart ass idea. Because now what you're doing is you're extending the longevity of the product. Okay, with the Dead Space remake, there's no DLC seemingly coming that we know of, and that's a one and done. It's already done. That's a GameFly rental you play. Why would you spend $70 on a game that doesn't need a remake? You know what I mean? With Resident Evil 1 and 2, those games needed remakes. They were on the PS1. Okay, so they brought the PS1 to the PS4 era for Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, so it made sense to bring that shit into the HD UHD era. But now, when you bring Resident Evil 4, a game that's been re-released multiple times for literally over a decade, it doesn't make much sense to do it, especially if you're not going to do it in a way that makes sense. So I'm not playing stupid. I don't know what you want me to tell you. You want me to tell you it's great? Is that what you want to hear? Yes, it's great. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I mean, that's not really great, but I gave it a 7 out of 10. What do you want me to tell you? Is that not good enough? I said it was a 7 out of 10 for an RE Engine game. And as a remake to the original, it's probably a 4 out of 10 for my personal score. Because it, quite frankly, didn't hit that home run. And like I said, if that Chromecast video is on its way in the next few weeks or so, I mean, that's going to be a very fascinating watch, no matter which angle he approaches it with. Well, I would rather buy the Callisto Protocol again. If you put those two games in front of me right now and said buy one, I would rather buy the Callisto Protocol than the Dead Space remake. Why would I want to buy Dead Space again? When literally the creator of Dead Space came out and made a new game, a new studio, and tried to do his own thing. A cinematic fucking version of Dead Space. That's what it is. It's a cinematic version of Dead Space. And people don't care. They're like, oh, that's trash, Michael. That's garbage. Okay. So you don't want to support new IPs. This is the problem with the industry, right here and right now. This year is a prime example, a prime reason why this industry is in the shape that it's in. Because people are going out and buying $70 remakes and remasters. So you want new IPs, you want new intellectual properties, you want new ideas, you want new mechanics, you want new things in your games, and you want to experience new things and new worlds and all of this stuff, but you really don't, because you go out and you support these games. And look, I have to cover these games, so in order for me to do that, since I don't get review codes sent to me very seldom, we have to go out and buy them. So that's why we cover them in the way that we do, because, well, we have to, otherwise we can't cover them. They don't send me codes like everyone else, okay? Everyone else gets, review codes, and they can review these games and this, that, and the third. But you guys are actually supporting these, and you're jumping up and down. You're jumping up and down for another Dead Space 2 remake. You're jumping up and down for, but why would you support Dead Space remake when you could have supported the Callisto Protocol? Now, you could argue it's not a better game. Who cares? It's about the intent. It's about the principle behind it. It's about, you know what? Let's support Glenn Schofield and his vision. Maybe his vision isn't 100% there, but maybe if we support this, it will be there in the sequel. I would rather support something new that's mediocre than a fucking shitty-ass remake that's, filtered with woke themes. It's ridiculous. You guys are... Why the industry's in the shape that it's in?
Luis Hernandez donated $9.99.
Luis Hernandez coming through.
The execution of a classic. That I can say and that I can tell.
I mean, it really is so sad. It really is so sad. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've been out here for over 2 weeks telling you that this game was trash, and you got a bunch of, QVC pushers on YouTube saying, oh, it's great, it's great. It's like, well, that's their job to say it's great. Now, I'm not saying they're lying straight up, but I mean, when you get free copies and when you get the Capcom chair and the Resident Evil 4 fucking Leon S. Kennedy statue, obviously you're not going to burn the bridge. And as such, that's what is happening in the gaming scene, in the gaming space. But it's okay to be toxic about Saints Row. It's okay to be toxic about Last of Us on PC. It's okay to be toxic about Cyberpunk. It's okay to be toxic about certain games, Callisto Protocol. But as soon as you bat an eye at some of these fucking soulless demakes, everyone just goes, oh, wait a minute, I got that pitchfork ready, Michael, and I'm coming to whip your ass. Okay. And then you wonder why the industry is in the shape that it's in. I mean, here's the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Both consoles have been out for like 3 years. Both consoles have been out for like 3 years. And quite frankly, there's no games to play on them. In fact, I don't even know why I have the Series X especially. The Series X has no games. Obviously, Starfield is the exception, and we can't wait until that sees the light of day, whenever that may very well be in September if they don't delay it. But holy shit, why did I buy a Series X? It has 0 games. It's a service. Gary from the Vault coming through.
Super chat. Did you know you can skip the village?
Yeah, I know.
The Garita fight and much more?
Yeah.
I bet they will ruin it and patch that stuff. World record is 145 now.
I don't think they'll patch it. I think they'll leave it in. They might patch a few exploits like where you can clip through the doors and things like that. I don't think they'll keep that in, but we'll see. We'll see. Gary from the Vault coming through. Hell yeah, by the way, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's the speed run right now. 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, again, that's because they found out all of these things that you can, shoot the rocket launcher at this and, get forward past this section, shoot the bell at the village section.
Do you think the rifle is terrible in the remake?
All of the guns are terrible. All of the guns are terrible in this game. They're really terrible. I mean, even modders are going in and modding the proper gunplay reactions to the enemies in, When you shoot an enemy in this game, if you're not on easy mode, they barely react. If you're on easy mode, it literally, and I'm not fucking joking, I ain't pulling chain, I ain't playing stupid, but look, if you're on easy mode in this game, they literally react more akin to the original game. So maybe put it on easy mode. It's a little too easy, I'm not going to lie, but...
Death Cited 666 donated $10 through Super Chat. Michael, the truth that you are saying are hurting the feelings of these fake gamers so sad it really is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just want to see new shit. I would rather play a new game as Leon S. Kennedy. I don't need another remake from Capcom. I'm done with the remakes. And I know that's an unpopular take, and I know they're not going to stop with these remakes because it's a guaranteed success. Why would they stop? Why would they care about the future of the franchise? I would rather see Resident Evil 9. As terrible as that is more than likely going to be, especially if they continue in that fantasy direction with fucking Rose and her Final Fantasy powers, I don't give two shits about that. But but I'll still be there to see if it's trash or not. Nonetheless, I'd rather see the future of this franchise take an original approach and do something different outside of saying, hey, let's remake this old game, let's remake that old game, because what they're doing with these remakes is they're taking the old classics and they're watering them down, they're sterilizing them, and it's just not as good as it once was. So why bother? You know what I mean? It's really so incredibly sad. And sometimes, even if it's as good as the original, why make it? You know, in the case of the Dead Space remake, why does that need to exist? It literally doesn't need to exist. Outside of saying, hey, here's Dead Space for a new generation. And I think that actually underperformed. I think the Dead Space remake, at least from last I heard, underperformed actually in terms of sales. So maybe they should have done a roadmap for the Dead Space remake, because the Callisto Protocol has the advantage, and it was a smart thing from the publisher for the Callisto Protocol to do that, because this summer there's DLC coming out for the Callisto Protocol, so it's going to have the upper hand. Even if there's only 500 people that come back to it, it's going to have the upper hand over the Dead Space remake, because there is more content coming to the Callisto Protocol this summer with the DLC. So I think it was a very smart play from the publishers for the Callisto Protocol. But regardless, I would rather support that game because it's a new IP. It's Glenn Schofield. He made the original Dead Space, and the endings to both games are the same.
Gary from
it's the same ending.
Donated $10 through Super Chat. Small End just came out and it's amazing. I love a grounded ATL. Some companies are actually putting effort into games.
I've never heard of that. I'm going to look that up. Small Land. Never heard of it. Small Land Xbox. Small Land Survive the Wild. What is this? Bug's Life? This is what you guys like? Oh, gee williker. Small Land Survive the Wilds. This just came out? Yeah, it did. What is this, Bug's Life? Looks like a Bug's Life. Survive the Wilds is a big adventure on a tiny scale. Enjoy multiplayer survive within a vast, hazardous world. Preparation is key. Surrounded by massive creatures at the bottom of the food chain. Well, I think I've heard of this game before, but maybe not. I mean, I remember a game where you start off as a monkey, and it just, over time, you evolve into a human. I don't know what that game was called. I don't know if it ever came out, but I think that was a pretty ambitious idea. Nonetheless, it kind of sounds similar. Maybe that game's great. I don't know. Never heard of it, though. So that's just the reality of the situation, you know? That's just the reality of the situation. E3, you know, here's the thing with E3. I would love to go to E3 this year. I went in 2017. It was a disaster, in my opinion, 2017. I mean, it was like fucking basically... I mean, you had literally Beetlejuice cosplaying in there, and it's like, what in the shit's going on here? I mean, maybe there was like a Beetlejuice DLC for Lego or some shit like that. But nonetheless, I would love to see E3 return, but I'm seeing a lot of toxicity towards E3 on the internet. I don't know what's going on, especially from journalists, too. It's like, oh, yeah, we're glad that E3's dead. We're going to pop our champagne. Fuck E3. It's like, what did E3 do to you guys? You know, it's under new management. I don't understand the hate towards E3. I guess they just don't want to get out of their parents' basement, because that would be an excuse to get out of their parents' basement. They don't want to fly to L.A. to cover the world of video. But I'll be there if E3's happening. I'll be there if they don't cancel it. But they are seemingly going to potentially cancel E3 for this year, which is going to suck if they do that. But I don't understand the toxicity. I mean, I went in 2017, and yeah, it was abysmal. But the way they're doing it this year, they have separate industry days and gamer days. So, you know... I think that's the smart way to do it, but it seems like everyone's pulling out of E3. I don't understand. Gamers want the big event, but then they don't. You know, and that's the thing too. It's like it's the same thing with the remakes and remasters. You want to go out and support this crap. You want to go out and do this, that, and the third, but you don't want to support new IPs. You don't want to support these new developers, these new ideas, these new experiences. It's so sad. It's really so sad.
The fire-spitting Salazar statue is just daft.
It's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. The Zoomers don't care about scale anymore. You know, the original game felt like fucking Steven Spielberg directed it compared to this shit. You know what I mean? The original game felt big on a smaller scale, because it was a small game. I mean, not really a small game, but it felt big. And that's what you need it to do. You need the son of a bitch to feel big. And when you saw Salazar in his final form, that was amazing. When you saw the big fucking statue chasing you and, oh, I hate QuickTime events. Who cares? It was fucking cool, man. You remembered it. You had an experience. And this shit, it's soulless. It is a DEMAKE, and I will never change my opinion on this game. I can't stand these RE Engine games, especially these remakes. I'm fine with 7 and, well, not really Village. I think Village is one of the worst. It's so fucking boring. It's so derivative. It's contrived slop. But with that said, I'd rather see them make something new and fresh and maybe somewhat interesting as opposed to going back and taking these classics and turning them into just terrible demakes that are forgotten about within 4 days after launch. It is so sad. I mean, yes, we already told you guys that this is going to be probably the best-selling, when it's all said and done, the best-selling Resident Evil game of all time. But that isn't really saying much because, again, we bring up the analogy, who's the top-selling record artist right now? I don't fucking know. I don't listen to music. But, if Justin Bieber came out with a new record, he'd probably be number 1 on the charts, right? Okay, so do sales dictate quality? Because if so, that would mean objectively that Justin Bieber is a great musician, and you guys won't agree with that. Okay? So just because you're going to throw the sales figure at me and say, well, Michael, this game sold 3 million copies in 2 days or some shit like that, whatever it is, and I've seen that, that doesn't mean anything. The Zoomers went out and bought it. And actually, you know what? We're going to call GameStop. Before I forget, we are going to call GameStop here today. So get ready, folks, here in a moment. I think I have it with me. Yeah, we have the phone with us here. We're going to call GameStop, and we're going to see if they have used copies at GameStop. KT's in here. Hopefully you had a great birthday. E3 going to review the crappy RE4 Remake Reimagined DLC. Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and call GameStop here. And we're going to see how the cookie crumbles with this. Okay, I'm going to call GameStop. We're going to call GameStop. And we're going to see if they have a used copy already of Resident Evil 4 Remake. We're going to call a few GameStops here. We're going to see if they have a used copy of Resident Evil 4 Remake. So get ready here. Let's go ahead and call GameStop. Let me type in GameStop here. Does she love Michael? I can't tell if she does. So we're going to go ahead and call GameStop here in a moment once we can figure out how to do that. Alrighty. The cracks are indeed starting to show. There we go. Let's go ahead and call GameStop here. Call. Call. Oh, it's not working. Call. Great technology here. Unbelievable. Call. There we go. A little slow here. All right, we're calling GameStop. How do you listen to it? I don't call people. How do you put it on speaker? How do you put this on speaker? How do you can't put it on speaker? You gotta hold it? All right, we're going to call GameStop and see if they have a used copy of Resident Evil 2 Remake.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, do you have a used copy of Resident Evil 4 Remake, by any chance?
Oh, God, no. It just came out last Friday. I highly doubt it. What system would you need?
Whatever you have it on.
Nope. Still just new right now.
All right, thanks.
You have a nice day.
There's no way. There's no trade-ins yet? What the fuck? Man, y'all are fucking shills. Well, that's just one GameStop. Did it work? Could you hear it? So sad. Apparently, they have no used copies yet. I guess people are still in the honeymoon phase here. So incredibly sad. That I know and that I can tell you. It seems like people are still in the honeymoon phase. Well, you can look at the Steam charts for yourself, sweetheart. You can look at the Steam charts for yourself, and I'm going to tell you right here and right now, it ain't looking good. Okay? I'll pull it up on the screen because you don't believe. 75,000, it's going down, literally as we're talking. 75,000. I'll pull this right up on the screen here so you guys can see the reality of the situation. And here we go. Boom. 75,000 players, and that's still fantastic, but not necessarily considering that this game just came out. And you can see the peak numbers right there. The peak numbers were 168,000 players 4 days ago. It's already dropping fast, and they said this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And how could that be when it has less replayability than the original? Got a bunch of busy work activities here in this game, and they obviously didn't understand what made it tick. It doesn't have as much replayability because it has those cinematic cutscenes within the game where you have to hold the button down to watch this cutscene play out. You don't have that much in the, if any at all, in the original. It's so sad how they destroyed a classic and how they tore it apart, and people are like, oh, hell yeah, we love it. Keep making them remakes. Could you imagine a Resident Evil 5 remake? You know, could you imagine a Resident Evil 5 remake? Like, let's just kind of like scale this back a little bit and like pause for a moment and actually imagine a Resident Evil 5 remake. Yeah, let's see Capcom remake Resident Evil 5 in 2024, 2025, 2020, whatever the game could potentially see the light of day, probably 2025 or 6. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, there ain't a goddamn way they can remake Resident Evil 5. Ain't gonna happen. Well, they could, but it would be an all-new game that's inspired by Resident Evil 5, just like they did here for Resident Evil 4 Remake and Resident Evil 2 Remake, and people don't care because they have their head up their ass. And they love it there because they love their shit. They love the smell of their own shit, and I do too. And I mean, you know, I'm not going to say I don't, but look, at the end of the day, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know. And then they want new IPs, they want new experiences, they want all these fresh ideas for their brand new consoles they just bought and all of this stuff, and it's not going to happen because you don't support it. You support these remakes. You support these remakes, you support these terrible remasters that are not necessary, especially the Dead Space remake. That's not a necessary game, and they shilled that. So you tell me how that makes sense. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But they're not listening. They're not listening. That's not new. They're not listening. The numbers are on the screen. What do you want me to tell you? 75,000 players right now. Oh, Michael, it's a Wednesday. You know, people are working this weekend. It's going to be boosted back up. Yeah, I bet. People have already completed this game. They called into the show. They said it was a masterpiece, and yet they're not here defending it because they don't care. They're like, oh, Michael, he loves it secretly. He's playing it offline. It's like, no, I'm not. I haven't played it since we streamed it because I don't care. It's you know, I've had the game for over a week. It's a snooze.
KT donated $5 through Super Chat. These day sales are all hype and advertisements, over quality and soul.
Yep.
New games these days are all hype campaigns that savvy PPL fall easily for.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just the cycle of dopamine hit these days, especially with the internet culture, the review culture. It's really terrible. It really is. I mean, if you were to basically unwind and disconnect yourself, you would probably have a much richer experience with modern releases, to be honest. If you had a job and you work from 9 to 5 every day and you come home and you don't have much time, you got to go back and do it again tomorrow, and you just like anticipated these games, but you didn't really follow them that, you know, some people follow these games like every pixel they're looking at. You know, when Game Informer releases a new video, they're watching every frame of it. They're reading every preview, every interview, everything that there is to know about these games before they release. By the time the game comes out, they're not necessarily as interested in it because they've already fucking learned about the whole fucking game. So that's the problem with gaming, is the internet has made it so accessible to where it's desensitizing the whole gaming experience in a way. And sure, you don't have to partake in that, but most people can't help themselves because that's the climate that we're in. It's the digital age. We're glued to the screen, whatever screen it is, OLED, LCD, AMOLED, you know, whatever it may very well be, everyone's glued to a screen some way. That's just the nature of the beast. And if you were to live a more traditional life outside of the screen all day, I honestly think that like I said, it would be a richer experience, because I know someone who does that. I know someone who works a 9 to 5 and they're busting their ass, and when they come home they don't have much time to dedicate to learning about all of these new releases that are coming out. They just basically know when the game is coming out, they know the release date, and they say, okay, I'm going to buy the game when it comes out. That's all they need to know. They don't need to watch the trailers. They don't need to watch the gameplay previews. They don't need to watch interviews. None of that stuff. They say, okay, this is when the game is coming out. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy it. And if you were to actually treat modern gaming in that way, where you just say, okay, the game's coming out then, and you just go in 100% fresh, not knowing anything, it would honestly be better. But very few people admittedly can do that, because that's a struggle. So that's a part of why modern gaming is dead. You know, when Starfield comes out, guess what? We're going to know everything about it before it releases. Well, not everything, but we're going to know a hell of a lot about Starfield before it comes out. And that wasn't the case when Skyrim came out. You know what I mean? KT coming through. Hell yeah, by the way, appreciate that. That's what we're talking about. Hell yeah, by the way, appreciate that. So that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, why would you want to go out and buy Resident Evil 4 Remake when you can just watch the whole fucking game online and see things that aren't even in the game with mods, you know? They have desensitized the whole gaming scene. The internet has. And the whole culture surrounding these releases and these dopamine hits and these neuron elicitors, it's really crazy. It's insane. It's the saddest it's ever been that I know and that I can tell you. Yeah, the game has woke themes, and yet no one cares about that. But, you know, what happened? What really happened? I don't understand. If this game isn't woke, then I don't really know what is. It's not just a talking point to elicit a response. Like, it's legitimately, from my understanding of what that word means, it is that, by definition. But no one wants to discuss it in here. I don't get it.
Thank you.
I don't get it.
The Saunders Child donated £2 through Super Chat. Mannequins are for Silent Hill, not Resident Evil.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, Condemned Criminal Origins had fucking better AI than this game and was scarier. And that's a 2005 Xbox 360 game. That's a 2005 Xbox 360 game. I'm not defining the word. You can go ahead and define it. You can go ahead and define it. You got Google, look it up. But from what I think it means, this is exactly that. Capcom bent the knee and they said, we're not going to show any skin on these women. We can't do that anymore. We're going to take away all of the suggestive dialogue. We got COVID masks in the game. How is this not woke? Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me. I dare you. Please enlighten me on how this is not woke, because it's anything but that. It is woke. Hugh Jackman coming through. Hell yeah, by the way, appreciate that. Well, I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, I'm not saying people have to agree, but I mean, please tell me how wrong I am in the sense that, how is this game not woke? How is it not woke? I don't get it. They've censored all of the dialogue. They've censored the clothing on women. Anything that was even remotely... Like, there's subtle lines that people aren't talking about that are not in this game. But, you know, we don't have many fans of RE4 in here. Because real fans of RE4 probably stopped playing games, to be honest. They're probably not even, you know... They quit gaming a long time ago, probably when the 360 died or something like that. I'm not sure. They did bend the knee. How do they not bend the knee? How do they not bend the knee? I don't understand. I don't understand. How is it not woke? It is. They sterilized this game. They have sterilized this game, and that is a fact. Maybe woke isn't the right word, but they have certainly sterilized the game. There you go. They've sterilized the game. Maybe that's the word we're looking for. They have sterilized the game. I think we can all agree on that. They have sterilized the game. They have sterilized this experience. They have. But people don't care. They're like, well, Michael, it don't matter. Just go back and play the original. It's like, yeah, we get it. The original is there. But this is the talk of the town. This is the current hype. I've already played the original game. So, you know, we were waiting for Capcom to throw out a game that was actually interesting in some capacity, and we thought it was going to live up to the original hype, but it didn't. As you can see on Steam, numbers are dwindling. Numbers are dwindling. It's sterilized. Don't say it's not. It's sterilized.
Kind of feels strange.
Well, apparently they're bringing the red dress to the DLC. So, that's actually a smart way to do it. It's like, oh, you guys wanted that dress on Ada? Oh, we knew that. We just didn't put it in the main game because we're going to put it in that DLC. And that's what they've done, seemingly. Well, it's certainly sterilized. You don't have to agree. It's certainly sterilized. I don't know how it's not. How is this game not sterilized? If it wasn't sterilized, then they wouldn't have changed anything. Capcom bent the knee. They wanted to appease to the Twitter crowd. That's what they've done. I don't know how you can't see that. It's because you don't want to see it. Well, why is the player count dwindling on Steam? Look at that. Still great, but not really for it only being out for 4 or 5 days. Someone start enlightening me in here. If I'm so damn wrong about this game, let's start speaking up. Because I'm not sure I understand where you're coming from. Not sure I get it, but hey, you do you. It is what it is.
It's over.
They didn't intentionally put that in the game. That's just the physics system doing its work.
Dr. Blitz donated $4.99 through Super Chat. I'd rather drink the Kool-Aid and die with some dignity than play this woke sterilized slop again.
Well, that seems a little extreme, but you do you. Dr. Blitz coming through with the 5. Hell yeah, brother, we appreciate that. Dr. Blitz coming through with the 5. Well, it's tiring and exhausting arguing with these fake Resident Evil fans, I tell you, it really is. Holy shit, Dr. Self-Destruct. Holy shit, Dr. Self-Destruct coming through. That's what we're talking about. Hell yeah, by the way, appreciate that, Dr. Self-Destruct.
Score says it all. They are paid to show since it's player reviews like us. I'm a true fan of Resident Evil since the beginning. They ruined 3 of the greatest survival horror games of all time. Censored plus woke.
Yeah. Yeah, the Metacritic score, I forgot to show that. I don't know why it's so low. I mean, I didn't have that many problems on PS5, but I guess the PS4 version is a total disaster for this game. It's so sad, it really is. I mean, I've seen some bugs. I mean, you could see some certain things in this game that just don't necessarily make much sense. Because, they shouldn't be on the final release, but it is what it is. Dr. Self-Destruct coming through really hard and really strong. Hell yeah, brother, we appreciate that. Dr. Self-Destruct coming through really hard and really strong with a $20 super chat. We do appreciate the support. Thank you so kindly here as we continue to discuss this all-new edition of Resident Evil 4. And I would love to move on to another game, but unfortunately the next game that's coming out is not coming out until sometime later on in April. It's the end of March here, so Dead Island 2 is probably going to be the next game that we start covering in a way that makes sense, but it is what it is. She don't love Michael, and it's so damn sad. She don't love Michael, and it's so damn sad. It's Wednesday, people have jobs. Well, not everyone in here, I guess.
It's over.
It's not. It doesn't matter. That's not the point.
Bald Lesbian donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Capcom hates women. There was a time when we put sexy women in games because newsflash, sexy women are sexy. Censoring women is an insult.
Yeah, I mean, you can't show off beauty anymore. It's apparently the women can't wear the sexy dress anymore because that's not allowed anymore. I don't get it. I don't get it. Bald Lesbian coming through. Okay, let's use that argument. It's a Wednesday. People have jobs. And I'm assuming that's a direct insult to me because it always is. It always winds up being that. But there are 20,000 people playing The Last of Us. These are the brand new games that just came out. But Counter-Strike has 822,000 people, so I guess everyone's jobless there. Dota 2 has 389,000, and I get these are multiplayer games, I understand that, but I'm just using that as a, if you're coming at this that people have jobs and they're not playing Resident Evil 4 because people have jobs and it's a Wednesday afternoon, why are these games over here doing so well? PUBG Battlegrounds, 113,000 players. Lost Ark, Rust, 73,000 players. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 69,000 players. GTA 5, 68,000 players. So I think that's a pretty moot point. But nonetheless, I guess it's your take, and there it is. Women wearing a dress in a game is not what you think. I don't know how is the original game what you claim it to be? Why are you guys weird? So you're saying the original game is... Well, I'm not going to get into it, but I see what you're getting at. So should they just delist the original game because it's that offensive? Is it like hatred? Should they just delist the original game because it's all of what you think it is? Why is it still up for sale? Is Kojima such a piece of shit? I mean, not Kojima, but Mikami? Shinji Mikami? I don't get it. I don't get it. These shills are weird. Very weird. Very odd. Alrighty. Looks like we're having some very technical issues yet again here. That's not even close to the peak numbers on weekends. I mean, I literally have the peak numbers up on the screen, bro. I don't know what you're arguing. What are you arguing? The peak number was 168,000. I don't know what you're arguing, dude. Like, I get it. It's a Wednesday afternoon. I'm not that fucking retarded. I know you think I am, but I don't care. Like, I get it. It's a Wednesday afternoon. This, numbers for all of these games aren't going to be at the peak. No shit. But the point is that this game has already peaked. That's the point. It doesn't matter what day it is. We can come back to this on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. It ain't going to be 168,000 again. That's just the reality of it. I get it. It's a Wednesday afternoon. What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, the numbers might be a little low because it's a Wednesday afternoon, but they're consistently dropping. They're literally consistently dropping. Look at the chart right here. They're consistently dropping. Defend it. They're consistently dropping, bro. It's literally right on the screen in a few seconds here. It's going to be right on the screen, right here. The numbers are literally, look at the chart. The numbers are consistently dropping. The first one there. Now the second one. The numbers are consistently dropping. Look at that chart. Doesn't matter what day it is. Doesn't matter what day it is. The numbers are consistently dropping, bro. Look at the line chart right there. The numbers are consistently dropping. So, your point is moot. I mean, I gave the game a 7 out of 10. I know that's not enough for some people in here. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch Skill Up's. Why didn't Skill Up review this game? Very odd. They probably didn't send him a code. And some reviewers get offended when they don't get codes. They're like, "Oh, if they didn't send me a code, I'm not reviewing your game." With better graphics, they are taking their characters more seriously. You just proved it's bigger than GTA 5. GTA 5's been out for a decade, dude.
$5 through Super Chat. So let's take women out of games so we can plaza the woke crowd.
That's basically what some people in this chat are saying. GTA 5's been out for nearly 10 years, so I'm not sure I understand that point, but okay. I mean, this is a game that's not even a week old. Of course, it's going to have the initial fucking numbers, but they're going to not be consistent. I mean, look at the charts on the screen. I'm not going to keep arguing. No, I think Skill Up got a code for Hogwarts, but he didn't want to cover it because it's controversial. Are you hyped for Zelda? Well, I think it looks interesting. I don't have a Switch. I probably won't buy a Switch for the game, but I think it looks interesting nonetheless. And I think it's a smart evolution. U3 wasn't cut. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Yes, it was, because you don't fight U3. Okay, the clock tower wasn't cut in Resident Evil 3 Remake then. You guys have no talking points in here. You have no talking points. Because I can flip the script and say, okay, Resident Evil 3 Remake was objectively great because they didn't cut content out in that, they just changed it. I can use your talking points. Because you call into my show and you say, 7 out of 10 is good if you use the whole range. Don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Use the whole range. Is that some smart-ass comment about my skill level? Probably. I don't know what that means. Whole range. What does that mean? I don't understand. We're not pretending to like these games. Okay. Well, some people in here are. I don't know who you're reading, but some people in here are. GTA 6 will break the internet? Absolutely. He said he didn't get a code for it? Well, he might have said that, but who knows? He probably didn't ask for one because he knew there was controversy. I don't really care. I don't watch Skill Up. U3 is in separate ways. Cool. It's not in the main game. And separate ways ain't going to be more than likely free, so they cut content out to sell it separately. Essentially is what you're saying. They cut content out to sell it separately. If that's true. What could have made it better? Well, they should have shipped a complete game. They should have shipped a game that was more faithful to the source material. But they didn't. And they didn't have to because no one cared about the original game, I guess. It's just so old that no one cares. And they're interested in catering and pandering to the new generation, and it obviously worked out well. You know, the boomers that actually care are probably about maybe 100, if that, on the entire planet. So, yeah, you don't cater and pander to them. You cater and pander to the Fortnite crowd that they've infested the franchise. They've infested the franchise.
It's over.
Woken by Wolves donated $10 through Super Chat. Dude, I respect you so much. You speak as a real gamer. I agree with most of what you say. The people with all the nerd comments, if your hobby is gaming, you're a nerd like us. Keep it up, brother.
Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that. Woken by Woke coming through. Hell yeah, brother. We appreciate Woken by Wolves, rather, coming through. Hell yeah, brother. We appreciate that. Thank you so kindly. Woken by Wolves coming through with a 10. Following the layup there. Well, it's true. I mean, it really is true. I mean, they have quite clearly sanitized this game, and I said 7 out of 10. I think that's fair. For my published review, I said 7 out of 10. I wrote the positives and negatives. I don't know what else you need from me. But on a personal level, I would say it's probably a 4 out of 10 compared to the original. When you start factoring in if the original game didn't exist, I think it's a fine standalone game, but as a remake, it's a pretty terrible experience. It's going to be funny when if Crobcat makes a video showcasing the original game, comparing it to this game, and showcasing the benefits of the original game compared to this and what's not in this, however he approaches that video. We know it's coming because we got the exclusive confirmation in here. I'm not even joking. But however he approaches that video, either people are going to go against the video and say, you're so wrong, you're nitpicking, you're cherry picking, or it is going to slightly change the narrative. And it's going to be interesting to see nonetheless how that plays out when that video does come out. I'm assuming within the next few weeks or months.
Mercanum donated $5 through Super Chat.
Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that. Merc coming through. Merc coming through. I'm not saying you can't like the game. If you love it, I don't know why you would deliberately click on this knowing how we feel about this game. I don't understand the appeal of coming back to something. It's like, dude, if someone said Rob Zombie, because I'm a Rob Zombie fan. If someone says Rob Zombie's Halloween sucks or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, that's pretty normie. But I probably wouldn't click on it. Why would I care?
Mr. Self-Destruct donated $5 through Super Chat.
Yeah.
Leon runs so damn slow in this remake.
Yeah, well, it's artificial padding. It's artificial padding. You have these squeeze-through segments. You have the, exactly. You have these squeeze-through segments. You have these segments where you got to hold things down. You have that forced cave puzzle that is terrible pacing because, you know, Leon S. Kennedy's there to save the president's daughter, and you have all of this shit where it's like, hey, you can play this mini Ubisoft section where you can roam around and, like, collect shit. It's all artificial padding to make the game longer because they cut so much out and they've reworked. Like, for example, like, literally the castle is totally different. I don't know how people can come away from this and say the castle is the same when it's totally fucking different. Like, the castle is so disappointing in this game, it's not even funny. The castle in this game is so disappointing, it's not even funny. It's overwhelmingly positive. Well, Mass Effect is on Steam as well. What's your point? If you're looking at the Steam reviews, they're all positive for every game, for the most part. I mean, The Last of Us on PC will eventually have positive reviews. Steam is like that. They give every game positive reviews, at least down the road. I'm not triggering anyone. I'm just showing my opinion. If you're triggered by that, maybe you need to go see Dr. Phil. I don't know what to tell you. If my opinion triggers you that much, I don't know why you would come in here if you're on the other side of the fence. It's okay for someone to not like something you like, and it's okay for someone to like something that you don't like. It's time to grow up in here. Jesus Christ. Like, dude, in high school, I was pushed into lockers for saying a band sucks that someone liked. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, they got so triggered, like, I got pushed into the lockers. I'm like, oh, that band sucks. And, you know, I got pushed in the lockers, and the guy stormed off. And it's like, damn, dude, you got some, like, anger management problems. It's like if someone came up to me and said Nirvana sucks, I don't give a shit. Who cares? Okay, not everyone likes Nirvana. Not everyone likes the Beatles. I don't care. I like Nirvana and I like the Beatles. I don't care. If someone comes up to me and says they suck, why would I give a shit what they think? I don't care. I like Limp Bizkit. If people don't like Limp Bizkit, I don't care. What does that have to do with my fucking perspective on something? It makes zero sense. But you got so many people that are just, they live off this shit, and Marvel capitalizes on it. That's why the Marvel franchises are so successful, because people think Spider-Man's actually real.
$20 through Super Chat. Most of these people in chat still play Call of Duty. Michael, the truth does life providing the facts.
Yeah.
Even though I think Re4R is good in Cyberpunk, it was amazing, I still agree with you, Goat.
Well, I mean, look, I said 7 out of 10. If you can ignore the original, if you haven't played the original Resident Evil 4, I think you're in a better spot. The problem is that we just recently and you were there, Gary, from the Vault. We just recently, and you gave me that tip in the original how to skip that boss fight. The two big giants in the lava thing. And you know they cutscene the hell out of that, even where Luis has to throw the dynamite on the big fucking armor guy. Well, I mean, that might not play. You might not have to do that, but nonetheless, you know. But you know, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I don't understand, and you know, Cyberpunk. I think if you play Cyberpunk now as a linear experience and you don't try and play it as an open world game or as an RPG, I think you'll have there's something there. I remember seeing the Jackie funeral, and that was actually emotional a little bit. It's like, oh, the Jackie character was kind of cool, you know, and he died, and you know they call you and you go to the funeral at the fucking biker bar or some shit, and you know you go outside and she's crying in the back, and you know I think Cyberpunk does well as a linear looter shooter. That's what it is. That's really what it is. But you know, if you play it like an RPG, or you play it like, you know, oh, we're going to play it to expect more, then you're going to be disappointed, very much so. Because if you just stick to the story missions and do nothing but missions, you're good to go. But as soon as you deviate and pivot from that and start exploring the open world, you're going to be very disappointed. Gary from the Vault coming through really hard and really strong. Hell yeah, brother, we appreciate that. And really, the bugs and the glitches and just the brokenness of the release when it came out was just a blessing in disguise for Cyberpunk. Absolutely. You say every game that comes out today is bad. Well, I mean, I'm not wrong. Name one game that's good. I mean, I have a few games, but every time I list games that I care about, you don't. It goes in one ear, not the other. So I'm not going to even tell you what I like. $3 million in 2 days. Okay. Look at the numbers on Steam. Oh, it's a Wednesday. Don't just look at the numbers. Look at the chart there. Last 7 days. Look at that chart there. It's literally consistently. It's consistently going in the opposite direction. It's consistently going in the opposite direction. So don't just look at the peak numbers now and say, correlate that to Wednesday afternoon. We understand that, okay? But look at the consistency in that chart right there. There you go. Look at the consistency in that chart. Sure, the numbers will go back up slightly, but they're not going to hit the peak again. And it's been out for less than a week. This Friday will be a week. You know, obviously it's going to sell well, and you know there's nothing else out there to play. It's not like the movies where you go to the movies and it's like, well, there's a few choices there's a couple of movies that just came out, and you kind of have a choice. It's like with gaming, you don't get that. You get a few big releases every other 6 months or some shit like that, and that's it. Because these games take so long to make. They take 5-6 years to make, if not longer. But in the case of Resident Evil, they've been putting out Resident Evil content every year. It's turned into Call of Duty, and people love it. It's like every year there has been Resident Evil related content that has released. Village came out in 2021, 2022. They put out DLC and Mercenaries, I believe, for Village. This year we got Resident Evil 4 Remake. In 2020 we got Resident Evil 3 Remake. In 2019 we got Resident Evil 2 Remake. Every year they have been putting out Resident Evil content. So it has turned into this annual thing. And next year, they're probably going to have separate ways and never mind, Mercenaries coming April 7th. But separate ways, probably, if I had to guess, DLC will be coming for Resident Evil 4 Remake next year. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. They have been putting out Resident Evil content consistently since 2017, now that I think about it. What came out in 2018? I can't remember. Something probably came out in 2018, though. That might have been the year they skipped something, but ever since Resident Evil 7, they've been putting out Resident Evil content every single year. There's never been a year where it's gone totally quiet for Resident Evil, big or small. I mean, RE-Verse just came out last year as well. They keep shoehorning in Resident Evil multiplayer as if that's ever going to take off. They waste resources and a bunch of fucking money on making all of that shit, and it's terrible. But, 2018 might have been the exception if I'm missing something. But 2017, you had Resident Evil 7. 2019, you had RE2 Remake. 2020, you had RE3 Remake. 2021, you had Village. 2022, you had Village DLC. 2023, you have RE4 Remake. And I'm assuming next year you're going to have Separate Ways DLC and stuff like that. So they've been putting out Resident Evil content on a yearly basis. Yeah, I know that I know that more than one studio. I know that's why Call of Duty comes out every year, because they have 3 studios, or at least they did at one point. They had 3 studios working on separate Call of Duty releases. Yes, that's why they do that, so they can get ahead of the schedule and have a new Call of Duty every year. That's why they have 3 different studios working on a new Call of Duty: Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch. There you go. 3 different studios working on Call of Duty, okay? Now they have leeway in the sense it's like, okay, if they tell Treyarch to make a fucking new Call of Duty right now, well, you'll see it in 3 years from now. Or, Sledgehammer Games or Infinity Ward or what have you. I mean, that's just how that works, so. You want me to call GameStop again and see if we can see what they think about... Should we call another GameStop and see if they have a used... Someone's got to have a used copy of that game. Someone already traded it in. By this weekend, there would definitely be trade-ins, if not already. Mobile gaming killed the industry. Who's playing mobile games? That was the thing in like 2012, but not now. I don't see how that's a thing. The internet killed... Mobile gaming didn't kill gaming, the internet did. When you can watch the whole game on YouTube for free, a lot of people are fucking lazy. They don't want to play through these games because they feel like chores.
It's over.
That's the reality of it. And again, the UK physical sales were pretty low.
All of these fake
Look at
fans wishing for the new Call of Duty Black Ops remake. So sad, and these fake Resident Evil fans probably think RE7 was the first-person re-game. So sad.
I mean, I'd rather see Capcom do RE9 at this point. I'd rather see Capcom do something new with the franchise, please. I don't care what they do. They could have Rose come back with more powers and more special abilities and fucking see-through vision and night vision and fucking flying abilities. I don't even care anymore. I just rather see... I want to see this franchise grow. And in order for it to grow, you have to create new characters. You have to get people to care about the current main line of what they're doing. And I don't think they've been very successful at that. Ethan with Resident Evil 7 was a faceless character, and then they put a face on him, and then they started to, redo that whole story in 7 and say, oh, this is why he's reattaching his arm because he was Mother Miranda or something, whatever the fuck the dumbass story was. It was so terrible. And then you got Chris Redfield coming in with Call of Duty fucking gameplay at the very end there. You fight Metal Gear. And the whole factory in Village was essentially an asset flip here in the Resident Evil 4 remake. When I got to the island, it was a very picturesque moment. And I said, guys, you're going to enjoy this. You can go back and watch the stream when we played through it initially. We were the first stream to beat this game on the air. I'm pretty positive. First stream to beat this game on the air. And not to brag, because that's not allowed around here, but I'm just saying. However, when we got to that point in the island and we were looking at it, I said, this is a great visual. I took a screenshot because I was like, yeah, that looks fucking cool. And I already said the graphics are a positive thing here in this remake. But they have to solidify the future of this franchise and make it click, because you can't just be reliant on constant remakes. They're going to run out of things to remake. I mean, if they eventually say, hey, we're going to remake Code Veronica, well, they might have to at some point, because after they get done with presumably RE5 remake, if that's coming in the next couple of years or few years, why remake 6? No one's asking for that. I don't understand. So, they're running out of remakes, to be totally frank. So they're going to have to keep pushing the future of this franchise and solidify that to get people to care about the future of Resident Evil, because if you just keep remaking things and that's all you've got left in the tank, then you have a franchise that is quite frankly dead. When you're going back to the past and selling that constantly in new ways, you don't have anything there. So, it's like a band that stopped. I mean, Nirvana's no more, right? There's no music. There's no new music. So what they do is they go back and they remaster the old albums every fucking 10 years or some shit like that. I'm sure there's going to be an In Utero fucking release here this year, because there's no new music left. Yeah, and that's where Capcom and some of these other studios they're running into that problem where it's like they cannot get the new stuff over. It's like wrestling. They can't get the new wrestlers over because they don't know how to talk on the microphone. They're not connecting with the audience. So they bring back John Cena, they bring back fucking Sting, they bring back The Undertaker, they bring back Kane, they bring back they bring back all of these wrestlers that everyone knows and loves. Stone Cold, The Rock. Well, they can't get The Rock anymore, but they bring back all these old wrestlers because that's what people want to fucking see. That's what they grew up with. That's what connected with people. And that's what's happening with Resident Evil. They're not establishing no one gives a shit truly about Village. It's a dead fucking game. No one really cares about where that story is going. Only the hardcore fans do, that eat up anything that says Resident Evil on the box, but the casual fans don't give two shits about Resident Evil anymore. And this sort of changed here within the last 4 days because they remade Resident Evil 4 and they banked off nostalgia and they said, hey, you love that GameCube game, that PS2 game that you grew up with, here's this new iteration of it with brand new graphics that are going to blow your mind, modernized controls and everything under the sun. And you have all these YouTuber QVC shills pushing it so hard as if they worked on the fucking game. Look, if I worked on the game, I'd push it hard. No shit. That's a different story. But, just working as essentially a PR sideline for these companies, that's boring. That's really boring. I'm not saying you can't like the game, but, just pandering constantly to the general consensus is so fucking tiresome. It really is. Just pandering to the general consensus because it's what works is so tiresome. I would love to see a big YouTuber come out and say, I have this opinion, and I don't care how many dislikes I get. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Yeah, and people, cry and they say, well, we want new IPs, we want new experiences, we want new adventures in our gaming, we want, gaming to go forward, but no one is supporting any of it. Forspoken flopped, and I'm not saying it shouldn't have flopped. I thought that was a terrible game from what I played. I played the demo, and that was enough for me, which I don't think they should have released the demo, to be honest, but, that's a new IP, it flopped, terrible. But, people are more inclined to support what is already established and that's why these movies come out. They keep making Scream 7, Scream 8, Scream 9, Scream 10, Halloween this, Halloween that, Halloween Laurie Strode is in the nursing home and Michael Myers is outside and he's coming in. They just keep making the same old fucking thing because they know it works and it's going to be 100% guaranteed. That's why they're remaking The Exorcist. The Exorcist is being remade this year. It's coming out later this year, October, from the same team that did Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So, that's why these studios, and it's the same thing with movies, with the exception of a few directors that are so established, Quentin Tarantino can come in and say, I'm going to pitch this idea and it's going to be probably made. With the exception of those directors, you don't have much leeway in that system. I think What's-His-Face has to fund his own movies because he's not a part of the system. M. Night Shyamalan. I'm pretty sure he funds his own movies because they're not going to give him money, because they don't want to take a risk on a new idea, on a new property. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them? That's why these horror movies come out, and they do it for like a couple of $1 million. And that way, if it flops, it's like, well, it's not that big of a flop. But if it succeeds, then it's a whole different story. Then they keep milking it. Just like that one movie that came out earlier this year. What was it? The new Chucky. Megan. That was made on a small budget. Probably like not even 10 million, I would assume. Probably 5 million, if that. And it went on to make more. So, and it's a smart tactic, but it just shows that, but you know, Megan is a new IP, but it basically just kind of retreads to an old idea. It's like, well, Chucky existed in 1988. You know, I mean, you just basically remake it under the guise of something a little bit more modern. You take an old idea and you twist it up a little bit, and that's it. So that's why this industry is in the shape that it's in, because gamers just love consuming. They don't care about quality. They don't care about what it is. I'd rather support the Callisto Protocol any day. Today, if you were to ask me what game, if I didn't have, I would buy the Callisto Protocol still. Because you're supporting Glenn Schofield, you're supporting his studio, it's a new IP. Why would you not support it? I don't get it. Why would you support Dead Space Remake? That makes no sense to me. That just does not make sense. Not that the developers didn't do a great job on that. I mean, it seemed more faithful than the Resident Evil 4 remake here, but I don't understand why it exists. I think it's a very redundant release. The Dead Space Remake. And they shielded it to the moon and back. They came out of the woodwork and they said, holy fucking shit, it's a masterpiece, Game of the Year material. And it's like, dude, it's a 2008 game. And now you're clamoring for more remakes. Okay? I'd rather see that team do a new Dead Space game and put their own stamp on it. Let's let them branch out of the nest and do something a little bit different. I don't want to see a Dead Space 2 remake. Just do a new Dead Space game and have them put their stamp on it. But, you know, they got to go back and remake these games and play it safe and ask the true hardcore fans how to make games and how to do it right and this, that, and the third. No, I got problems with the Callisto Protocol. It's very repetitive. But after having played the Dead Space remake, they're the same game. Literally the same game. Just with a different coat of paint. So I don't understand what people's problems are with the Callisto Protocol. I mean, I understand, and I had my own problems with the game when I talked about it when it came out in December, but I don't understand fully the difference between Dead Space and Callisto Protocol, because the endings are literally the same. And people are saying, well, the ending is clickbait for DLC. And it's like, well, not really, because the ending in Dead Space is literally just that. It's a fucking jump scare. It's the same ending. Glenn Schofield did the same ending, and people act as if it's a different ending. Like, bro, take the nostalgia glasses. Like, that's firing me up right now. I don't even care about Resident Evil compared to that shit. That's pissing me off. That Dead Space fucking remake bullshit. Dude, it's the same ending. And people are saying the Callisto Protocol, that's a terrible ending, it's fucking DLC bait. And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? It's the same ending as Dead Space. Dead Space has a jump scare at the end, and then it cuts to black, and it cuts to the credits. Okay? You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'd rather support Starfield, even if it's trash. That's a new IP from Bethesda. And you could say, well, it's just a reskin of Fallout or Skyrim in space. And it's like, well, it probably will be, but what do you want them to do? Create a whole new engine? I mean, it is on a new engine. It's on a new iteration of the engine, the Creation Engine 2. But I'd rather support that because it is something new. It's not another Skyrim. It's not another, Elder Scrolls. It's not another Fallout. You know, it's not another Elder Scrolls. It's not another Fallout. It's something new. Yeah, and it could be the best thing since sliced bread, or it could be it could be mid, it could be the worst thing. You know, we don't know. But at least it's something new from Bethesda. And they're a veteran studio, especially Todd Howard on the front. So I don't get it. But it won't, you know, it'll do well. Starfield will do well, but it isn't going to do Skyrim well. It isn't going to do Fallout well, I don't believe, because it's tied to the ecosystem, Xbox ecosystem. It's tied to, if you have an Xbox console, or you can play it through the fucking Game Pass, or you can play it through the cloud or whatever. It's tied to that, and most people still aren't going to budge because there's still a lot of fanboys that are on PlayStation. And since Starfield isn't coming to PlayStation, at least not anytime soon, you know, they're not. You're going to have to subscribe to Game Pass and play it on the browser, or through an app or something. However you play Game Pass. I'm not a Game Pass subscriber. I let it cancel again because there's just nothing there. I think it's a great service, though. I really do. I wish every game came to Game Pass. That'd be fantastic. Hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, every game is just right on Game Pass. I really hope so, because it's a great deal. You know, $15 a month, and you can play these games day one. I mean, if Starfield's trash, you're not spending $70. You know, if Starfield were on PlayStation, you'd probably be spending $70. So why would you want to spend $70 when you could spend $15? I don't get it. look, if the game's great, we'll go out and buy. And, you know, people are arguing about Zelda in here, and I said, look, it's a smart evolution. It's a smart evolution. It's a smart evolution. How is it not a smart evolution? No, I will defend Zelda. Because what I saw was interesting and innovative within its own sort of boundaries. It's not revolutionary, I'm not saying that, but they took the foundation, they improved upon it, they built upon it, and I think that's kind of all you need to do. So, I don't get the hate for Breath of the Wild, but, you know, if people don't like it, that's fair. I don't really care. You could probably argue it is the same game, with just kind of DLC expansion pack vibes to it. And they've added in some like modding things. You know, you can make your own boats, you can make your own vehicles, you can make your own weaponry and things like that. And it's like, well, maybe that's all it needs. I mean, obviously it's a new story, I'm assuming, right? And you got, you know, islands in the sky. I mean, so there's a lot of new secrets. There's probably a lot of new shit to uncover. But I mean, if you are burnt out on Breath of the Wild, that might not totally win you over. I don't know. It really depends. It really depends. No, the subscription service model isn't terrible. When you have these games that are one and done, why would you spend $70 on them? Dead Space Remake should have came to Game Pass day one. What are you smoking, dude? These games are $70 now, for the most part. I mean, Resident Evil 4 Remake wasn't. $60 on PS5, at least here. But when these games come out and they're so disposable, forget them. $70 DLC. It's Nintendo first party. What do you want me to tell you? If Nintendo thinks it's $70 worth, you know people are going to be there day one. They don't care about that's not what it's about. It's not about that. Nintendo fans know it's going to be quality day one. They're going to buy it day one. They don't care how much it is. You see, you're not understanding this. It's the same thing with Apple. No one cares about what the price of the iPhone is unless you're not getting an iPhone. You'll buy the iPhone because you know what the iPhone is and you know if it floats your boat or not, or if you're in that ecosystem or not. You know, if you talk to people that use iMessage or what have you and, you know, you're in that bubble, then there you go. You know what you're getting. It's another iPhone with better camera enhancements and a few other bells and whistles, and, you know, there you go. It's an evolution, you know. We haven't got past that point yet where it's like, oh, this is the next big thing. When's the next big iPhone coming out that's going to really change the game? Well, I don't know if that's even possible anymore. I think the big evolution was in 2014 or 15 when they said Face ID is coming, and now you can lock your phone through your face. And that was the next step forward. They took away the home button. But now, what more can you really do with that? I mean, it's been how many years since the first iPhone? 2007? We're here in 2023, nearly I don't know how, I can't do math, but, you know, in 2027 it should be 20 years, right? So, and it'll still be, you know, I mean, 100 years ago, 1923, 100 years ago, they had cars on the road. Ford Model T, I guess, right? We still have cars on the road. Still use gasoline. Like, things haven't really evolved much. It's kind of just the same old, same old. Scared taking calls. No, the audio's so terrible it won't work. The audio's so terrible. I can take your call right now, but you're not going to be able to hear half of it. I listened to it back the other day. Sounded like trash. So until we can figure that out, there's not much we can do, unless you want to listen to nothing. Refresh the Steam stats. Well, it's a screenshot, so I can't, but we can go look over here. Oh, let me guess, it rose 10K? 68,000. Oh, Jesus, it went down, bro. But again, what I've been told is it's a Wednesday afternoon. So it doesn't matter. And maybe it doesn't. But look at that chart there. Consistently going down. Look at the last 7 days there. Here, I'm going to crop it so you guys only see that. Look at that. Look at the chart there. What does that show you? It had its peak, and it's consistently dropping. And you can argue that's normal for single-player games, and perhaps it is. But this game is not even a week old, bro. The original game was more replayable in my opinion, because someone defined it in a way that I can't articulate, but it almost feels as if it's just a chore to play this game with the extra side content. They just shoehorned content in, and they said it's going to be amazing, it's going to be fantastic, and is it really? You know, are these little cave segments that great? I mean, why does Leon have time? He's going to find the president's daughter. Why does he have time to roam around like that? You know, I mean, they should have. You know what they should have done? They should have pulled the Dead Rising 1, and they should have said Leon now has like 72 hours to find the president's daughter. They should have put the game on a fucking timer. I thought that might have been an interesting mechanic. It would have pissed off a lot of fucking people, but it would have been nonetheless an interesting mechanic. RE4 stream tonight. I really don't want to play it, but I mean, if you guys show up, I'll play it. But what else is there to play? You know, there's really nothing to play outside of that. We've already beat Dead Space Remake. We've already played 2K23, so there's not necessarily much new. But, you know, we can see. We'll see. People have jobs, school. Well, then why are you here? Are you essentially admitting you're unemployed? Oh, you work from home. Well, that's not a real job. Go get a real job. You know? Sad. I get it. It's a Wednesday afternoon. I'm not. It doesn't matter. The numbers are not going to reach 168,000 again. It ain't happening. The numbers will never reach probably 90,000 again. It ain't going to happen. Regardless of what day it is or what hour it is, it ain't going to happen. And just because it's a Wednesday afternoon here, it doesn't mean it's a Wednesday afternoon somewhere else. Now, I don't know how this works on Steam, this website. Maybe that's for US only. I don't know. That could be worldwide. I don't know. Could be US only. I don't know. Play the OG? We could. I mean, we've already played it, but we could. Devil May Cry 5? Never played it. I think I played the demo. It's on the RE engine. It's on the RE engine. What are you looking at? Your mother. Dead Island 2 looks lit. RE4 didn't just die. It was, well, it'll go back to 100K once Mercenaries launches. Well, that's why they didn't include it day one. Duh. That's why they didn't include it day one. Why would they include all of the content day one when they can push it out separately to extend it? You're not understanding. And, you know, like I said, Callisto Protocol still has content to come. And it was a smart move. They put out the roadmap and they said, this is what's happening with the Callisto Protocol. You know, it just got like the new game plus hard mode or some shit like that, like a month or so ago. And that, you know, probably had a little bit of a boost. You know, let's see how many people are playing the Callisto Protocol right now. I don't think it's many. I would suspect less than 2,000 people, but we'll see. Let me type this in. Callisto Protocol. I'm just curious. Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol. Here we go. It's checking the browser. We have to do this human thing. I don't know why. Okay. All right. Let's see how many people are playing the Callisto Protocol here. And it isn't popping up. Well, there it is. The Callisto Protocol. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. There ain't a damn way that's right. Holy shit. Dude, there are more people watching this stream. Now this is you want to talk about something that's actually dead, bro? Dude, I didn't think it was that low. Well, this is why you have a roadmap for a game like. Oh my God. Holy shit. Look at this. Let's get this on the screen. This is unbelievable. There are more people watching this stream than playing the Callisto Protocol on Steam. That is insane, bro. Where did this go? That's it right there. Here we go. Boom. There's 118 people playing the Callisto Protocol, bro. What the fuck? Well, that's smart on what the publisher did. You try and get people back in with the DLC and hope that works. And there might be something else coming too. I don't know, but I think this summer is going to be the last of the content for the Callisto Protocol. Now I get it. It is. It wasn't everyone's favorite game, but I don't understand the difference between that game and Dead Space. I really don't. After having played the Dead Space remake, yes, the mechanics are a little bit better in Dead Space. They're more arcadey, but that's not what the Callisto Protocol was going for. It's a cinematic fucking Dead Space version. That's really what it is. That's insane. Well, that's on Steam. I'm sure if you add up console players too, it might be up to 500 total. Well, and, they spend millions on these games making them, and they have the honeymoon phase. That's why these publishers are afraid to take risks. Right on your screen. It's on your screen. Why? They only got 100 people playing the fucking Callisto Protocol. How much money do they put into that? Millions of dollars? For what? Nothing. Because no one's playing it, right? So that's why you don't see any games released anymore unless it's a guaranteed fucking thing. This industry is going to get worse and worse and worse, man. Everything's basically on a 10-year cycle at this point. For the big releases, for the next Naughty Dog game, for the next fucking Rockstar game, for the next this, for the next that. You're talking basically 10-year release schedules at this point for these massive games that everyone's really, truly clamoring for. And it's only going to get worse as game development gets more complex and sophisticated, and as gaming gets bigger, they just have to figure it out. And there's too many cooks. Look at Ubisoft is basically dead too. Ubisoft is basically dead. They stopped releasing games. Last Ubisoft game I remember playing is fucking Far Cry 6, and they haven't released a game since then that I remember of. Because Ass Creed Village came out in 2020 when the PS5 launched and the Series X. So they stopped making Ass Creed. They stopped making Far Cry, and they're working on 10 Ass Creed games now, essentially, and probably the next iteration of Far Cry, but they dropped Watch Dogs, so they're focusing on what really works, because Watch Dogs never took off either. That was another franchise where it's like, so they took risks with Watch Dogs. That didn't pay off. It never clicked like GTA. It never clicked like they thought it would. And that's why they're focusing on Ass Creed and Far Cry, the most guaranteed thing. That's what this industry is turning into. So since people didn't support Watch Dogs, they didn't support any of these other franchises. I'm surprised Rocksmith is still around because they went subscription model with that. And I don't know anyone that's paying for that because they don't have any good songs. It's like you have to have great music in order to get people there, and they don't have that. They have quantity, but they don't have quality. And I get it, music is subjective and this, that, and the third, but when you have fucking Teletubby songs in Rocksmith Plus, no one's subscribing to that. Sorry, that's stupid. Well, Ghost Recon's dead as well. Ghost Recon's dead as well. That's what I'm saying. All of these developers, these publishers, they're focusing on what is going to work. Otherwise, they're not doing it. Hogwarts Legacy. Let's see how many people are playing Hogwarts Legacy. Curious on that. I bet that's pretty high. Maybe higher than I think. But in my opinion, it's still a dead game. There's no conversation anyway surrounding it that I see. It fell off pretty hard. But it still probably has its niche. Hogwarts Legacy. Let's see here. It's not popping up. There we go. Hogwarts Legacy. 34,000. That's pretty low. A little higher than I thought, though, but not necessarily. For a big game like that, bro. Okay, what are the peak numbers here for this game? Hogwarts Legacy. Probably 500,000. Let's see. Charts. Damn! Almost 1 million players 2 months ago. 2 months ago, 879,000 people playing Hogwarts Legacy. These are Steam numbers here. And now it's down to 34,000. Which I don't know what those 34,000 people are doing in the game, but unless they're modding like some multiplayer. Oh, God, they don't have anything in that game, bro. I dropped that so fast. I dropped that like 4 days after it came out because it was so shallow. It was so bare. I'm not big on Harry Potter, but that doesn't. You don't have to be big on Harry Potter to play that game. You can treat it like a fucking fantasy open world game, and sort of like akin to Bully, but not really because you don't attend class in that game. You just do the missions, and that's the class. And it's so artificial. It's so padded with just extra content. Yeah, it's terrible. Well, this is why Game Pass is the future, and this is why it's going to be that way in the next decade or so. It will, because these games don't last long. These games don't last long. No one truly plays video games anymore. Look at these numbers; they're terrible. The only games people are playing are the big titles, at least on Steam. GTA, CS:GO, shit like that. Fortnite, Call of Duty. That's what continues to thrive this industry. Without those games, video games would stop existing because no one's playing this shit, dude. Like let's type Dead Space Remake in. Oh God, this is probably bad. I bet less than 1,000 players on Dead Space Remake. I'll be very shocked. Dead Space Remake. Oh God. Oh my God. Yep. 730 people are playing Dead Space Remake. This is unbelievable. 700. Oh my God. Why did EA make that? Why did they do that? I'm surprised EA approved that game. Here, let's pull this one up here. Right here. Look at that right there. 730. See what I'm saying? Gaming is pretty fucking dead. I mean, let me see the peak numbers on Dead Space Remake. It had to be at least 500,000, but maybe not. Maybe the EA's not. Oh, Lord. 30,000? I guess everyone played the... Oh, my God. Damn, that's low. Only 30,000 for the Dead Space Remake? Oh, jeez. That's the peak numbers? And you wonder why every game's a live service. You wonder why every game's a fucking games as a service, because it has to be. It has to be to have the longevity that it needs. They pour millions of dollars into these games. They spend 5-10 years on these games, and then they come out. They have their peak numbers for about a week or two, and then it falls right off. I don't think that's a success. That's insane, bro. Was never high on Dead Space. Then why did EA make it? I think it underperformed too. I think it truly underperformed. Last I read, it underperformed. I'm telling you, if Fortnite came out and said we're shutting down the servers, we're done. If Call of Duty came out and said we're shutting down the servers, we're done. Gaming would be dead. I'm not even joking. That shit is what carries it. That's why it's totally independent, totally small-scale games, or you're jumping into the AAA space. There's no in between. There's no in between anymore, because you can't do it like that. It either has to be this big fucking game that's like got a massive hype machine behind it and hundreds of millions of dollars with marketing, or it's this small independent game that you can go to the Patreon to download. I mean that's basically what it boils down to. And for most developers, I think they should go down the Patreon route, because otherwise you're going to be a corporate slave to the AAA development environment. And you're going to have to do what you're not going to get creative in that space. You're going to have to sit down and the boss is going to come in and tell you what to do. But some people like that, though, because some people don't have passion for what they do, believe it or not. Some people are just good at what they do, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to passion. There's teachers that you could tell when you went into their classroom they hated doing it, but they were good at it. Passion doesn't automatically mean you're you don't have to be passionate about something to be good at it. And that's a misconception that people think, like, oh, you shouldn't do something if you're not passionate. I disagree. If you're good at something, well, don't do it for free. Like the Joker said in The Dark Knight, don't do it for free. If you're good at something, don't be an intern at that's a waste of time. Skyrim's at 20K. Damn! Skyrim's at 20K. Look at that. Well, that's a testament. Let's see Fallout 3. Let's see Fallout 3. I mean, Skyrim has a lot of mods and stuff, but let's see Fallout 3 vanilla. Fallout 3... Oh, no. Okay. Is gaming that dead? 89 people are playing Fallout 3? Maybe the Game of the Year edition here. Fallout, let's see Fallout New Vegas. Fuck it. Okay. Damn! 4,000 people are playing Fallout New Vegas. Holy shit. 4,000 people are playing Fallout New Vegas. That's pretty fucking good for that game. I played a little bit of it, and those graphics are rough, man. Those graphics are rough. It looks like actual shit on the screen with the textures. It's like, dude, I mean, Resident Evil 4 looks better than that. Forspoken? Oh, bro, that ain't on Steam, is it? Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Some of these games are only on Epic. Forspoken, 308. That's a little higher than I thought. Why did they make this game? Who said this is going to make... Holy shit. Sometimes you wonder how these games are even fucking made. Cyberpunk. Let's check Cyberpunk here. I haven't looked it up yet. I'm gonna guess Cyberpunk has. I'm gonna guess Cyberpunk. I'm gonna say 8,000 players on Cyberpunk. Let's see if I'm right. 8,000 players on Cyberpunk. Here we go. Cyberpunk 2077. Here we go. I said 8,000 players. Let's click on it. Damn, I was kind of close. 12,000 players on Cyberpunk. Now, when this came to Netflix, oh my God, it had a resurge. Charts. All-time peak was over 1 million players 2 years ago. You see the hype machine? Look at this. This is fucking insane. Let's pull this up here. This is insane. Damn, the all-time peak was massive for this fucking game. Look at that right there. And that's just on PC. But this was primarily, to be fair, this was primarily a PC game. I know some people argue and say that's not the case, but this was primarily, in my opinion, a PC game. So there's 12,000 people playing that right now. I don't know what they're doing in that game. I'd love to, they must be new to the game. But over 1 million players during its all-time peak. Holy shit. That's the hype machine. They invested so much into the marketing, and Keanu Reeves, and everyone was, they brought all these shills to make videos and do marketing for them. Extension of the PR team, essentially. Don't even get me started on, please. We don't need to talk about Cyberpunk. Because I'll go back and watch the Chrome-Cat video and start getting emotional about it, bro. Like, I can't with that game. Because right now I just have to accept it and say it's a looter shooter. Maybe with the next Cyberpunk, they'll actually make the game that was, what most people were clamoring for and what most people were anticipating. But we can't discuss Cyberpunk in here. It's just too much of a. It's just too much. A little too intense. Check Dead Space 2. Resident Evil 4 Remake, wish it had 1 million people. Well, Resident Evil's not that fucking big, bro. It's really not. Now, if they tied the release up with like a new movie or something, maybe that would have worked out well, but... Elden Ring's at 35K? Shit, that's almost beating Resident Evil 4. Damn. Well, Elden Ring is Elden Ring. I mean, that's got a loyal fan base. Check Resident Evil Village. Let's check Resident Evil Village. I'm going to say, this is going to be low. I'm going to say 800 people on Resident Evil Village. It might be a little higher now because people are going to go back to that game. And let's see, Resident Evil Village. I'm going to say 800 people. Damn! 1,500 people in Village? Okay. Damn! Resident Evil 7's got to be at under 500. No one's playing RE7. Watch this. I guarantee it. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. 827, yep, a lot lower. Let's see the original Resident Evil 4. Probably, I'm going to say 1,500. Resident Evil 2005. 3,000! Holy shit! Resident Evil 5, or Resident Evil 4, rather, OG has 3,000 current players on Steam. God damn. That's insane, bro. Well, that's why these studios are reluctant to make these single-player games much anymore. They got to be remakes, or something has to be established. And it's the same with movies as well, man. I mean, look at these numbers. These numbers are pretty. For some of these games, they're abysmal. I'm sorry. If I were EA, I would not greenlight Dead Space 2 remake. I mean, unless they did it on a small budget, hell no. That's ridiculous. Yeah, the numbers aren't great. I mean, look, that's PC. Not everyone games on PC. I get that, but you can't look at the numbers for PS5, I don't believe, or PS4. So that's what we have to use. Unreal. Unbelievable. Check The Last of Us on PC. It's probably like 30,000 or some shit. Last of Us 2 stats. Alien Isolation. No, I'm not checking. I'll check it real quick. I'm not going to check every game though, guys, because most of them are actually just dead. Alien Isolation. Let's see. Isolation. Yeah, but this game, it's on Game Pass, bro. Like 162 people playing Alien Isolation. Why do you act like Steam alone gives a complete picture of how many people are playing games? Because it does on PC. You can't look the numbers up on console. What do you want me to do? Just like surmise numbers? The fuck, dude? It is giving us a complete picture of PC players, at least on Steam. Yes, so you're wrong. If I can't look up the numbers for PS5 or Xbox, then we can't speak to that. But what we can speak to is the fucking Steam players. I get it. Console gaming is more popular. No shit. Especially with the GPU prices and, just the way these games aren't optimized on PC. Why would you buy a PC? It doesn't make sense. Call GameStop? We could. You want to call another GameStop? Skyrim, yeah. Well, Skyrim is it's got the modding support and stuff like that. Skyrim's big. Why isn't there a console chart? Because there isn't. I mean, if there is, I don't know about it. Let's call another GameStop and see if we can find a use. Let's see. Someone has to have traded this sumbitch in. Let's call another GameStop here. We're gonna have to wrap this up here shortly, though. It's getting a little chilly out here. All right, let's call another GameStop here. Let's call this one here. She don't love it. It's so sad. She don't love it. Hold on. How do you use this thing? Dude? This is crazy, bro. Yeah, do you have a used copy of Resident Evil 4 Remake?
I don't think so. Let's see. I do not.
Okay, thanks. Well, I guess no one's trading it in. Huh. Interesting. I guess no one's trading it in. I would. Don't they have a trade-in program where you can trade it back in and then you can select another game? That's I don't know if they still do that. But I remember when Days Gone came out, they had a new trade-in program. I don't know if they still do that, but I lost. Okay, dude. Look at the numbers on Steam. Tired of these shills, dude. I can't wait till Dead Island 2 comes out so we can shill that. Jeez. I mean, it's ridiculous with these DEMAKE shills. It's all digital? I guess. Because it's great? Well, then why are you here? Go play it some more. You're bored out of your skull, dude, and you damn well know it. You're bored out of your skull. I guess we lost. Yeah, well, I don't. Look, when the Chromecast video comes out, I think we'll have a definitive answer on whether or not we won or we lost. To be honest, because when that documentary releases, it's going to be crazy. Chromecast doesn't... He's like Steven Spielberg of gaming documentaries. It's just that great. No, there was a trade-in program. I don't know if they still do it, but it was actually like you could trade the game back in, and then you could put it towards a new pre-order or something. I don't remember how it worked. GameStop, let's see if they still do it, because that way you could just play through the game within a few days. GameStop trade-in. What was it called? Here, I'm going to type in Days Gone, because I remember a lot of people did it for Days Gone. GameStop trade-in. Offers, here it is. 2019. This is in 2019. GameStop to allow game returns for full store credit within 2 days of release. What the fuck? PS4 exclusive Days Gone is the only eligible game for now. Well, they probably stopped doing that. So I guess if you were to buy Days Gone and play it within 2 days, you can return it for full credit or something. That's crazy. I assume they don't do that now. Crazy. I can't see the screen. No, they won't do that anymore? Well, it was well, it was a pretty good return policy on that, so they probably just did it for that. I don't know. The story has been written. The reality situation wasn't... What? Won't do Resident Evil 7 because he couldn't handle it too hard for his tiny mind? Bro, you were literally a member. What is with these people going sour, dude? You say one little thing and it just like grinds their gears and they're like, oh, fuck that, Michael. I'm not going to the gym anymore. Instead, I'm going to sit here and tell you how wrong you are. Bro, you were literally just a member. Like, I remember doing Midnight Caller and you were like, oh, how do I member up? And I'm like, it should be in the description. I remember directly talking to you and now you've turned sour. I don't get it. It's like Pet Cemetery in here. You know, everyone just turns sour. You say one little thing, and they go right over the edge. You don't like what dude, if you came to me right now and said, the Beatles are trash, Kurt Cobain was trash, he never wrote a great song, I just wouldn't care. Like, maybe that's the maturity in me. I just don't care what people think. I don't. If I did, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be outside right now talking to my fucking computer, because right now people are judging me as they're driving by. They're like, what the fuck's this guy doing? He's talking into a microphone. He's yelling at his computer. I don't give a fuck. You can't. Because you're not going to move forward if you do. But people have, you know, these like high school insecurities or something where they're like, well, you know, he said this band was trash. I liked it. Fuck him. Or this movie was amazing. He didn't like it. Fuck him. If you like Resident Evil 4 Remake, that's great. We can still be friends. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I mean, shit. I put probably more time into it than most people have. So I don't understand. Because I had it early. So therefore I had more time with it. Gaming industry is dead. Starfield might save it. Well, we certainly hope Starfield does. I'll be there day one with Starfield. Will you shield a Silent Hill 2 remake? I don't care about Silent Hill 2, so probably not. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll like it. I mean, I don't really like Blair Witch Bloober, but we'll see. We'll see. Do you think about the new edition of Resident Evil 5? I don't know why people are bringing up Resident Evil 5. I don't understand what that... We've never brought that up in here. The Beatles are so overrated. Okay, there you go. I don't care. But, you know... When I say Resident Evil 4 Remake sucks, you know, we have some people in here that just get a little crazy. They get a little crazy. Well, Michael, it just boils down to you sucking at the game. Well, where's your gameplay? You know, everyone who says I suck at the game has nothing to show for. They got no result screen to show for. You know, they got no gameplay to show for. They don't got anything to show for outside of running their mouth because they obviously haven't played the game. And if they have, they're still in here running their mouth like, oh, Michael, it's a skill issue and you got eyeballs going different directions and all this. It's the same old rhetoric. It's like, look, at least show the gameplay, but you can't do that. Elden Ring is a terrible game. Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin are overrated. Well, I've never been a big fan of both, so never been big on Pink Floyd or really Led Zeppelin. I only know like one song from Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. I think that's the only song I know. Or the one in School of Rock or something. Well, the remake's already dying. I mean, look at the Steam chart, dude. The numbers are going downhill. I don't know what to tell you. Saw PS3. I mean, if we could play Saw on PS3, I would do it. But the disc doesn't read discs. So there's no way to really play it. There's no way to really play it. Trivium is great. I don't know who that is. The band? Why are we... Trivium. What's with that? Trivium. Dream Theater is underrated. Why are we talking about these like obscure bands? Like, dude, I don't listen to that music. I don't know. Dude, I mean, if you do, great. I don't really listen to it, though, to be honest. I don't listen to Dream Theater or Tool or, you know, the bands like that. I don't really listen to music at all, though, to be honest, anymore. I don't listen to music. I don't watch movies. I mean, you know, look, when Quentin Tarantino puts out his new movie, I'll probably be there day one to see it, but his last movie. But, I mean, you know, without, you know, we don't go to the, yeah, it's delisted on every storefront, so we can't really play it. Because it's a movie game. They probably only did a 10-year deal or something. I don't know how that stuff works. Trivium used to... No, they're not talking about Trivium. They're talking about the band. Pretty sure. I don't know what they're talking about. Breaking Benjamin is a great band. Yeah, they got some good songs. I've seen them live when they were actually relevant. Now they're probably playing in... they're probably playing in the McDonald's parking lot now. I mean... Elden Ring's a good game. Edgy bands. Tarantino's last movie was bad. Well, it wasn't bad, but I mean, it's a different movie. It's basically like a parasocial movie, to be honest. You follow Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in their like daily life, basically. So it wasn't for everyone. It was a different sort of like a day in the life of in their shoes. A day in the life in their shoes. All right, we're going to give this 5 more minutes here, folks, and then we're going to wrap this up. And actually, 9 minutes. Let's give this 9 minutes here. We'll cap it off at the top of the hour here. We might be back later tonight. We'll see. I don't really feel like playing this game again, but because there's nothing new to do in it. Like, there's just nothing new to do in it. I mean, we could do the side quests, but that's just busy work finding birds to shoot and stuff like that. That's boring. So I'm not really sure what we can... I mean, unless I can find a new game to play. I mean, we can maybe jump into RE7. I think that would, for me, that would be more interesting. I mean, we could probably jump into RE7 if that's what you got. If people show up, I'll do it. I'll download it tonight. I'll download it before we, I'll make sure to have it downloaded before we go live tonight. Because there's just nothing new to see in RE4 Remake. I've already beat it multiple times. I mean, obviously we haven't seen everything, but we've seen the whole game from beginning to end, despite the side stuff. I don't need to see the side stuff. But RE7 would be a new game, pretty much for me. I mean, I got to the Baker House in RE7, and we didn't get No, I think I got to the bee lady. I got to the bee lady in RE7, but I don't think I've gotten past it. If I have, I don't remember it. I think we got to the bee lady, where you fight the bee lady in the cabin or some shit like that. Welcome to the family, son. Play Village? No, we're not doing that. I've already played it on the show here. It's terrible. I'm not playing Village, bro. Actually, it might bring in more viewers. But no. I'd rather play RE4 Remake than Village, bro. I ain't playing no fucking Village. That game's trash. It's just so boring. It's so boring, bro. Well, it does have third-person mode. Metalcore is not metal. Well, there you go. There you go. I can't see the screen. Happy birthday tape. I don't know what that is. You're talking about the DLC. I played a little bit of the DLC for RE7. You have the card game, and then you have the one where you have to stay in the bed. RE7 would be refreshing, says Dr. Blitz. Hell yeah. Well, listen, we'll download it. We'll see. We'll see. Play Brutal Legend with Jack Black? Bro, that has probably less than 50 players. You're talking about that game?
Dr. Blitz donated
Brutal Legend?
$1.99 through Super Chat. Re7 would be refreshing.
Dude, that probably has less than 50 play. Oh my god, it has 37 people play. Dude, 37 people playing. Jazz coming through. Hell yeah, bro. Well, if it gets Game of the Year, it gets Game of the Year. I don't know what to tell you. Play RE7, you know it will be trash. Well, it will be if you don't know where you're going because you're going to be chased by Jack Baker like Mr. X. That shit's annoying. I don't like that. One of the things this game did right was that it eliminated that bullshit chase segment crap where they just constantly chase. Play Street Fighter? No. Deadly Silence on the DS is decent. Yeah, we had that. Let's see what time we're at here. All right, 5 more minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up here, and then probably, maybe, come back later tonight. We don't know yet. But if we're going to try and figure it out. You got to take time with Village. No, it's a snooze fest, bro. You got that fat ass merchant in there, and it's just boring. The whole setting's boring. You got that stupid dollhouse where it's just a pure cutscene. Like, the game isn't good. RE4 Remake is better than Village. I will say that. Absolutely. Max Payne 3. What time will you be live? You just click subscribe and turn notifications on. That way you'll get the notification. More WWE Jerry Lawler, please. Well, we do have another video, but it probably won't ever see the light of day. Jack Black is better than Jack Baker. Mr. X is annoying. Michael needs his socks knocked off. True AAA new IP. Yeah, I agree. The Suffering. Guys, I can't play games like that, bro. You gotta... How you can... The Suffering? That's old as shit, dude. Village is cringe. Yeah, we're not playing... I mean, we might just play RE4 Remake. I don't know, dude. Please don't play RE4 Remake. I can't see the screen. Play Village third person. Yeah, well, we haven't played it in third person. Maybe it's actually a little bit better. I doubt it is, but I don't even know if I have Village, to be honest. I'm not even sure if I have. Well, no, I do have Village, yeah. It's not downloaded, though. I really... The Suffering needs a remake. RE Village is better than Umbrella... Oh, God. Well, I would say Umbrella, that game is more faithful than these remakes. They're making the Suffering movie? That sounds like a waste of time and everything. Not sure why they would do that. It's a dead thing. Play guitar, not hero. Well, if you want to play producer, we can maybe do things like that, but until you play producer, we're not doing it. Candyman? Candyman. Oh, that game. No, it was based off the new one. It didn't look that good. It's not like you were in Cabrini Green and you run from the Candyman or some shit like that. No, that would be an interesting Play Heavy Rain. Guys, we got to play something a little relevant. I mean, Jesus Christ. We'll be down to 150 viewers. We can barely maintain 200. Not that that's the most important factor, but, you know, if we're going to stream, and it's more fun with more people in here, and you know that. Dude, I just saw a TikTok. This guy is like the ultimate performer, dude. If I worked at like Capitol Records or something, I'd sign his ass. Even like as a dancer or something like that. It's just incredible. Tony Hawk's Underground 1. Yeah, that game's fantastic. Tony Hawk's Underground 1's great. I love that game. Because it's got a cool story. You start, you know, skating, and then you get sponsored, and then your buddy turns on you. Play Evil Within 1, 2K23, Resident Evil Snore, Arkham Knight, newest one, and it runs at 30 frames. What? Download Arkham Knight, the newest one, runs at 30 frames. I don't know what that means. Have you ever played... End the stream if you're going to stay on repeat. I don't know what that means. I can end the stream when I want. You don't decide. But we're going to end it here in 1 minute, so you're going to get your wish. Dead Space Remake. The only time it rains in Hollywood... The only time it rains in Hollywood is when somebody cries. What is your favorite Resident Evil? Well, they're all bad. I mean, I guess the remake, but I have problems with that. Lawn Mowing Simulator. Play The Last of Us on PC. It's a total I don't like that game anyway to begin with, so. And it probably wouldn't run. I mean, it probably just wouldn't run. They might have to take it off the store and fix it. I don't know what's going on there. All right, it is officially the top of the hour. We're going to wrap it up here. A couple of more comments. It's officially the top of the hour. We're going to wrap it up here. Cyberpunk DLC is going to be key. Yeah, I forgot about the Cyberpunk DLC. The Red 9 seems to be pro difficulty. Are you going? We are ending it here. I'm just seeing how we see how the cookie crumbles here. Resident Evil 2 original is the best. All right, that's gonna do it. We're gonna wrap it up here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, tagging along, supporting the show. We will be probably back with something tonight. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so already, and click the notification bell when you subscribe. That way you'll get those notifications when they get sent out. When we go live, if we do go live later tonight with a piece of software, it might be a Resident Evil 4 remake. We might try to jump into Resident Evil 4 remake again, and then when we die in that game, we might jump to 7 or some shit like that. I don't know. Haven't figured it out just quite yet. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, tagging along, supporting the show. And with that said, it's over.